You'll often hear me talking about invasive species here on the channel, but what exactly is an invasive species and why do we need to remove them? Well, I read an argument online a while back that said that even if a species is non-native, surely it is only contributing to the biodiversity of an ecosystem. I think it's important to distinguish first between biodiversity and what I call biovariety, which is kind of similar to the term species variation in ecology, although it's not exactly the same. But essentially what I mean is that just because there is a larger number of different species in an ecosystem, that does not necessarily equal greater biodiversity, because biodiversity is really defined by the dynamic interactions between different species. So if you have greater biodiversity, that means there is more interconnectedness within the ecosystem between different species, whether that is parasitic or mutualistic, otherwise called symbiotic. However, when you get an invasive species, it usually means that it has not evolved in that ecosystem, and therefore its presence there can actually disrupt the biodiversity of that ecosystem. For example, a species like this, which is cherry laurel, comes from the Mediterranean region. It grows so densely here when it enters British woodlands that it can actually cause so much shade that suppresses native plant growth underneath. So you can get non-native species that aren't invasive. However, when you do get an invasive species, it is very important to keep on top of it and to understand that although it is adding a greater variety of species to the environment, it doesn't necessarily mean it has created a more robust and biodynamic ecosystem.